Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Man Dota, coming to you with my 12th pubcast. This one is going to be provided by the user who gave us the last one as well. His name is kontulangangsta over on the Dota2 Castit subreddit. This one is going to be a ranked all-pick matchmaking game in the very high skill bracket, so let's go ahead and get right into that. Just for you guys who do not know, the way that the ranked all-pick matchmaking works these days is that each team will have 40 seconds to decide on what hero they want to pick. If they do decide to go over that time limit, each person who is not picked on the team will proceed to lose 2 gold per second. So as we can see here, already coming out first is the Shadow Fiend, actually random Shadow Fiend. So Troll Warlord being the first actual pick for the Dire. Most likely Shadow Fiend going to be going into that mid-roll. Troll Warlord also capable of being that counterpart on the opposite side of the river, but he could also be falling into the safe lane carry one position farming. If they want to give him support in that off lane, he can also go down there. Being able to go into the range form whenever he is not facing a lot of harass helps him last hit, but he also can fall back into that the range form in order to deal with any harassment out of EXP or last hitting range. Second pickup for the Radiant going to be the Storm Spirit. So while Shadow Fiend, either one of them could be going to mid or safe lane. Both of them perform well with farm. Storm Spirit performing a little bit better with levels, so I think that they would tend to favor putting him into that mid lane over the Shadow Fiend. But time will tell which route they decide to take with that one. Mirana being the second pickup for the Dire. Could fall into, she's one of those heroes that could fall into any single position that she wanted to. Not really the best one-role core farmer, but she can roam around, not even having a designated lane, just looking to get those sacred arrows off from a long distance out in the fog, set up a lot of kills for whichever lane she wants to proceed to gank. But she also can fall into the offlane role with her E ability, that leap. Whenever she gets engaged upon, she can just use that in order to escape, and once she hits level 6, she'll also have that Moonlight Shadow in order to disengage or in order to rotate out and get some ganks on the other lanes. Third pickup for the Dire team is going to be the Spirit Breaker. Typically, Mirana and Spirit Breaker typically fall into those same roles. Start looking after they get a couple levels in their abilities to just start picking off other heroes in other lanes. Spirit Breaker excelling that a little bit better than the Mirana, has that charge of darkness, capable of being in another lane within seconds. Starts freaking out people on the map. It's going to be up to the Radiant team to have pretty good observer ward positioning in order to determine whether or not the Spirit Breaker has left his lane in order to start ganking the other lanes. The third and fourth pick for the Radiant is going to be that Undying as well as the Clockwork, both of which are traditionally going to be offlane, solo offlane players at that. Clockwork really looking for that level 6, wants to get his hook shot online so he can start initiating some of those fights, maybe start looking towards going towards that mid lane, gets the hook shot off as well as the cogs, makes it so that the Shadow Fiend can get some easy follow-up raises. As well as the Storm Spirit, capable of bypassing those cogs with his Ball Lightning so he can get in and get those overload right clicks in on the enemy heroes. Enigma going to be that fourth pickup for the Dire team. That's going to be their jungler. Very seldomly do you see him falling into that offlane role. Can get some farm with that using the demonic conversions, get those Eidolons out in order to get some last hits as well, but he really relies on that early game jungle experience and farm in order to either get that fast blink dagger or mechanism so he can join his team once the black hole comes online, start forcing the issue then, making whenever the black hole is online that the Radiant team has to just kind of panic and worry about where that's going to be coming from. And the last pickup for the Radiant team is going to be that Leshrac. So that's most likely going to be their safe lane support hero. Whether or not they want to throw the Undying into that second support spot, or if they're just going to run a 2-1-2, we will see. But just breaking down the hero lineups right here for the Radiant team, we are going to have Excalibur on the Shadow Fiend. I'm not really sure if that's the real Excalibur used to play for Team Fnatic during the Summit 2. That performed really well in those mid positions. Known for his Tinker play as well as Tiny. A little bit of Storm Spirit as well. But continuing down the lineup, so we're going to have Road to Void over on the Clockwork, Cobra on the Leshrac. The TAF is going to be playing that Storm Spirit, and Undying's going to be picked up by Conk. Meanwhile, for the Dire team, It's going to be Lonely Sea over on that Troll Warlord. Spirit Breaker is going to be played by Anim4 CNIK. Invoker going to be played by Killer Pingu. Enigma picked up by Nikaril. And Marana is going to be played by our local neighborhood friendly Russian player. Not really sure. I do not read Acrylic, so I do not know what that says, but I'm sure his arrows will be great nonetheless. So just checking over on the minimap, it looks like at first glance it is going to be that Undying in the off lane. They have the Clockwork, Storm Spirit, as well as the Leshrac down here in the bottom lane, going up against that Troll Warlord and Marana in the off lane. They're going to throw in an early arrow that will connect on the Clockwork, but doesn't look like they're going to have the follow-up damage. They do have two other heroes around here for the Radiant team in order to stop this. But it looks like that Undying as well as the Spirit Breaker are starting to go to work at each other up on this top rune spot. Both of them are getting down to pretty low health, but Undying does have 3 decay stacks up already, as well as the regen from a Tango. So it looks like he's going to be able to get away. Marana has started to join this fray as well. Undying sticking around for a while, does eat a really close range arrow, not going to keep him down for that long. Marana's starting to drop really low. Undying has 872 HP right now. He's dropping really low too, but there's a Clockwork here with a Battery Assault. He's dropping low over on that Spirit Breaker. Only one more hit from the Undying. It actually is going to be the Spirit Breaker who falls first. Invoker getting the kill on the backside over on that Undying. So the Clockwork as well as the Invoker getting some early kills here. Yeah, Dire team did get some vision up on the high ground as well as the Radiant team. So both these mid players are going to have a little bit of an easier time. The raises from the Shadow Fiend will certainly help. Maybe the Invoker can get some extra procs over onto his Cold Snap. Marana's sitting in that mid lane for right now, but it's most likely going to be handed over to that Invoker who did decide to go for Blades of Attack as well as 3 branches early on. So that's typically a solo mid-roll build right there, and as you can see, the Marana is starting to rotate down towards this bottom lane. Interestingly enough, they did decide to put the Undying as well as the Clockwork together up in this top lane. Not the most traditional dual lane up here, but they are up against a solo Spirit Breaker, so I have to imagine that that matchup is going to favor them, while Enigma farms off in this jungle. Storm Spirit already up to a nice start, 8-5 over on him. Invoker's only 1-1 to the 6-3 of Shadow Fiend, so he already has 9 souls built up, which is going to help him immensely. Once he gets a couple more levels in that Necro Mastery, he can even get beyond those 15, and he's going to be able to outlast hit this Invoker, who has gone for Quas first. So it looks like it most likely will be a Quas Wex Invoker over the Quas Exort. So he's going to need those items in order to start fulfilling the farming needs of himself. Otherwise, Shadow Fiend is just going to completely pull away with this one. Looks like the Clockwork is going to be going for that 2-minute invisibility rune up in the top lane. Arrow thrown out in this mid lane. Excalibur is going to be able to juke that though. He's going to be fine up on his high ground. Spirit Breaker does have his boots already, as well as an Orb of Venom. There is an Undying Tombstone down up here now. He's going to start attacking that. Not sure if that's the best route in order to take right here. He's eating a lot from that decay damage, as well as the zombies. Dropping low, does take the zombie house down, but at what cost? Undying's going to get a solo kill over on that Spirit Breaker. Nice pickup for him. That offlane doesn't even need the Clockwork there in order to accomplish this, so definitely, I'm not even sure if that's, you know, a rage quit or what, but nice kill for the Undying coming out in that top lane. Checking out these other lanes, it is 13-6 over on the Shadow Fiend to the 4-1 of Invoker. So Shadow Fiend starting to pull away a little bit. Invoker does have his boot of speeds as well as 1 Blades of Attack. Once he does get those phase boots done, going to help him out immensely as well. And it does start to look like it's going to be a Quas Wex Invoker. 2 levels up early in that Quas, usually indicative of that. Otherwise he would be getting the extra right-click damage from those Exort levels. Marana throwing an arrow over onto the Leshrac. It is going to miss. They have that ward there in order to scout out whenever they're getting rotations over in the jungle. But there is a Spirit Breaker charge heading down to this bottom lane over on the Leshrac. They're doing a lot of damage over on this Marana. She's dropping low, eating a lot of damage from that Battery Assault. She's going to fall, but here comes the Spirit Breaker getting a lot of damage over onto that Leshrac. He's going to get the last hit on that. Looks like the Troll Warlord as well as the Spirit Breaker are going to be able to back off after successfully taking out that Leshrac. But it is the Marana who falls in turn as well. She is going to have to walk back to the lane. It looks like only 50 gold in her inventory. No TP scroll for you, young lady. And what does this Storm Spirit have coming to him on the courier? Actually decides to go for a bottle first down in this bottom lane. He is falling really low, trying to go get that bottle over from the courier. It's going to fall as well. A huge pickup for the Dire team, getting not only that courier as well as the kill on that safe lane farming Storm Spirit. He just wanted to get his bottle, but the Invoker as well as the Mirana and Spirit Breaker are there to tell him, no, you will not be drinking anything tonight, sir. So that's going to be the Shadow Fiend's boots over in his inventory or in his stash that he's going to have to sit and wait upon for a long time until that courier gets back. Meanwhile, the Invoker is Ghostwalked up. He's not going to be able to connect with that Sacred Arrow from the Mirana, but we get a rotation in from the Clockwork as well, so not really sure it would have resulted in a kill either way. There is a Spirit Breaker charge coming in. He does cancel it, though. Has that finished Urn of Shadows over in his stash whenever the courier wants to bring that out to him, too. Enigma level 5, almost level 6, so that black hole is going to be available pretty shortly. Did not get any levels in that Midnight Pulse, though. So no extra % damage for whenever he drops that first black hole, but whenever that becomes available, expect him to come join these lanes even more so than he is right now. They are going to get the split earth over on that Troll Warlord. He's eating a lot of damage from the Overload right clicks as well as the Leshracs. He's actually going to fall over on that Leshrac. So big pickup over for the Radiant safe lane. The Storm Spirit wishing he had gotten that last hit, but it is going to help out a little bit after he fell from trying to get his bottle from the courier. 28 and 17 over on the 29 and 17 over on the Shadow Fiend to the 7 and 2 of Invoker. He's struggling a little bit, but not nearly as dependent on farm as the Shadow Fiend is. Going to throw out that Tornado, no follow up, Cold Snap or EMP after the fact. Invoker saying he's done, needs to get those combinations on. Would definitely like to see him throwing out the EMP into Cold Snap combination. You Cold Snap a hero, throw down that EMP so that your second auto attack will keep them stuck in place and usually get, even if they walk away after that, usually gets caught on the very out rims of that EMP, soaking up a lot of their mana, making that Shadow Fiend go back to lane or forced to bottle crow in order to stay alive. But it's going to be a Whirling Axes over onto the Leshrac as well as the charge from Spirit Breaker, not even going to be able to get the Split Earth off. It's going to be the Spirit Breaker who gets the kill in the end, as well as some extra charges over onto that Urn of Shadows. As you can see in this mid lane, the Clockwork has set up over in the Fog to try to help the Shadow Fiend get a kill on Invoker. He's out of mana, though. If he doesn't get away, it's going to be dangerous for him. Phase Boots off a cooldown, pops the Battery Assault over on the Clockwork. Not going to be able to keep that Invoker stuck in place, though. Spirit Breaker is starting to join this fight. He's going on the Shadow Fiend, though. Pops that Illusion Rune, but it's going to be too late for that. He's going to get charged on, as well as the Black Hole over from that Enigma, catching Excalibur out. Enigma's going to get the kill for that. Meanwhile, on the top lane, looks like Undying was able to get a solo kill over on that Mirana. Couple stacks of Decay, as well as the Flesh Golem coming out for him. He also has an Urn of Shadows to match over onto that Spirit Breaker. So nice trade-off, 1-for-1 for each team. Shadow Fiend did fall in the middle. Nice rotation out from the Clockwork, but the Spirit Breaker charge is what ends up doing the Shadow Fiend in the end. Let's check out Storm Spirit Fire. He does have the finished Power Treads as well as his bottle. Most likely going to be moving either into a Soul Ring next, but meanwhile in the mid lane it looks like Spirit Breaker wanted to get a charge in, but Leshrac is there in order to get the Split Earth over on him. The raises to follow from the Shadow Fiend take him down. Invoker falling down as low as well. Does get off the Ghost Walk, but a Dust is there from over on the Clockwork. Excalibur on that Shadow Fiend getting a double kill for his efforts. Nice comeback for him. Meanwhile in that bottom lane looks like the Storm Spirit tried to get away from the Troll Warlord as well as the Mirana, but he's going to fall for his troubles too. 2-for-1 trade. Spirit Breaker as well as the Invoker for the Storm Spirit down in that bottom lane. So Leshrac giving some attention over to that Shadow Fiend in the mid lane, trying to get him a little bit of help, but his Storm Spirit he was babysitting down bottom does end up falling as well. So both teams a little back and forth action here already. Going already up to 1,000, back down to 250 in favor of the Dire, back up to 500 in favor of the Radiant. So neither of the team really coming out super far ahead of this laning phase. Storm Spirit only has that finished Null Talisman boots as well as the bottle, so he's not really looking at too much at the moment. There is the, maybe the real winner of this one is actually going to be the Undying. Has that finished Urn of Shadows as well as the Arcane boots. Drops the Tombstone. Looks to go over onto this Troll Warlord. Does throw out a level of Decay. Battle Trans pop for him. There is no Enigma Black Hole in order to use, but they are taking out this Undying Tombstone. He's falling low as well, too. Now he's going to fall. Mirana gets the last hit over on that. There was a charging Spirit Breaker in to get the help as well. Undying not really recognizing that his tombstone is not going to be lasting too long. So very, very smart from the Troll Warlord, popping that Battle Trance in order to take down the necessary right clicks over onto that tombstone. So that's most likely going to be their plan during these fights. Whenever the Undying pops out that tombstone, normally can't engage into that, but the combination of the Battle Trance and the right clicks from the Mirana as well as the Troll Warlord and Invoker are going to be enough at range to take out that tombstone. Don't even need to stand right underneath it in order to kill it. Arrow from that Mirana, looking to take over onto that Shadow Fiend. He's going to be just fine though, just splits the wickets there. Storm Spirit getting a little bit of a solo farm and EXP down this bottom lane. He's up to level 8, another 900 gold in the bank for him as well. Looks like they are initiating over in the Shadow Fiend in the mid lane, charging from the Spirit Breaker. He's dropping really low, but there's a Storm Spirit here too to try to get a little bit of a counter kill. Tornado over from the Invoker. He's going over onto that Spirit Breaker, dropping really low, down to 4 HP. He's going to fall. So it won't be in vain. They do trade a Shadow Fiend for a Spirit Breaker. Definitely in favor of the Dire team there. They are going to find this Clockwork up top too. Malefice and the Midnight Pulse over from the Enigma going to be ticking him pretty low, but he's going to be able to walk away from that. The Undying Tombstone starting to slow down this Enigma, but they do have the Moonlight Shadow from the Mirana, the Pulse Nova, as well as the Lightning Storm coming out from that Leshrac, though, getting a nice rotation in that top lane. So they lose the Shadow Fiend, but they also end up trading that for the Troll Warlord, Spirit Breaker, and Enigma. That Undying Tombstone just doing so much damage with the slow. Oh man, they're getting enough time for that Spirit Breaker charge in as well as the rotation in from the Enigma. So he'll actually have Black Hole at the ready whenever he respawns, so this might be the opportunity for the Dire team in order to get some kills. But they are having both of their towers pressured, their mid lane as well as their top lane right now. The Diabolic Edict from the Leshrac just eating through this top tower. They do pop the Glyph, but there doesn't look like there are going to be any rotations up from the Dire team to this top lane. They're just going to get a free tower. Ends up being Clockwork with the last hit on that. So checking into this gold graph, now swinging up to around 1750 in favor of the Radiant team right now. Storm Spirit going down over on this Troll Warlord. He's dropping pretty low, but he's out of mana. Troll might be the chance for Troll Warlord to go back over onto him. Drops the Remnant as well as the Overlord, 64 HP for that Troll Warlord. He does have the finished Morbid Mass though. Storm Spirit going to be able to bottle up and walk away as well as the Troll Warlord in this situation though. See the Enigma does drop down that Midnight Pulse, throws out the Malefice as well, but no Black Hole to follow. They are charging over onto the Shadow Fiend in the mid lane. He starts channeling the Requiem, but the Cold Snap from the Invokers there as well as the charge from the Spirit Breaker. He's dropping low, gets the Requiem off in the end for the death version of it, and gonna get a kill over on that Invoker. Flesh Golem as well as Tombstone over on that Undying, trying to take them out, but it's gonna be the Enigma with the Black Hole, keeping him in place, dropping him low, and the Mirana is going to get the last hit on him. But here comes the Leshrac, throwing out that Pulse Nova as well as the Diabolic Edict, doing a ton of damage to this Radiant team right now. Enigma falls as well as Spirit Breaker. Nice follow-up kills from the Leshrac. So really good rotations from both teams getting in there, recognizing that the TPs are coming in. The Shadow Fiend starts winding up that Requiem, but nice fingers from the Invoker, getting that Cold Snap off over onto him, keeping him in place for that Spirit Breaker to come in and get the Charge of Darkness stun off over on that Shadow Fiend. So it is going to be a Yule Scepter pickup over on that Shadow Fiend. He has that finished Treads Wraithband bottle as well as the Yule Scepter. Most likely going to be moving into a Blink Dagger next in order to get those Blink Yule's Requiem combinations off. And the Radiant team is paying a lot of attention over to this mid tower for the Dire on the Tier 1. Clockwork sitting on the other side of the river waiting to throw a hookshot out if they get any vision. Spirit Breaker is charging in over onto Excalibur. He is going to stop that though. No, Glyph is available for the Dire team if they want to try to defend this. Black Hole not at the ready for Enigma. He did decide to go Soul Ring into Midas and Tranquils as well. So he's not going to be online as quickly as they would have liked to have been. Not going to have that Blink Dagger until probably around, if he doesn't die again, probably around the 16-minute mark. But so that's definitely not going to help. They are going to spot out of this Undying, though. Throws down the Midnight Pulse. Takes rid of those trees. Cold Snap going to work on him, too. It's going to be the Invoker who gets the final hit over on that Undying. So meanwhile, the Mirana did die down in that bottom lane while they were engaging over onto that Undying. Kill went towards the Storm Spirit, so some much-needed farm found over onto him. They are going to start a charge over onto this Shadow Fiend, hooking from the Clockwork. Split Earth is going to catch that Spirit Breaker. Going to work over onto him is that Troll Warlord. The Diabolic Edict going to work as well, but it's going to be the EMP zoning all of them out. Just going to be able to hit that Clockwork, though. Tornado to miss. The Yule's Requiem coming out from the Shadow Fiend, but he's not going to be able to get it off. Gets stunned by the Mirana. Ends up getting split the kill between pretty much everyone on the Dire team who ended up rotating into this middle lane. Only it's going to end up being a Spirit Breaker in trade for a Shadow Fiend at the moment. They did end up losing that Tier 1 tower in the mid lane, though. So looking at this, it actually swinging up to around 4,000 net worth in favor of the Radiant right now. Checking out who's leading the charts at the moment. Shadow Fiend has that Yules as well as the 800 extra gold in the bank. Would have been a little bit nicer if he didn't have to fall in that mid lane there. But he's probably going to be still going for that Blink Dagger and try to get the initiations over with that Storm Spirit. There is a charge in from the Spirit Breaker. He is going to cancel it. Storm Spirit also has the Oblivion Staff. He's going to be going for that Orchid as soon as he can. Has about another 450 to go until that second Oblivion Staff is finished. Undying has that mech as well as, or the buckler as well as the headdress for that finished mechanism soon. Meanwhile, the Clockwork is going to come in over here. He did throw the hookshot out, but he's going to eat in full EMP, and he's going to fall underneath the Midnight Pulse from the Enigma as well as the right clicks from Invoker. Enigma getting the last hit for that. So he's actually going to get that 15-minute Blink Dagger over on the Enigma, so we can look for those big initiations at this point. The Black Hole is available again, though. So let's see if the Dire team want to try to come out here and get some initiations off. The Sacred Arrow is going to connect over on that Undying, but meanwhile on the backside, the Storm Spirit is going to work over on that Enigma. He's dropping pretty low, but no more mana over on that Storm Spirit. He might end up falling here. Last right click coming out from the Troll Warlord. It's the longest range one he's ever had, but it's good for a kill. They throw the negative earn charge over on that Enigma. He's most likely going to tick out over on the backside. He does. They're trying to get enough right click damage over on that Mirana, but it's going to be the Decay from the Undying who ends up killing him in the end. Double kill for Conk over on that Undying. Nice rotation in from him. Looks like the Dire team is just going to disengage under the last seconds of that Moonlight Shadow. They are going to get the Yules over on that Invoker. He tries to throw out the Requiem of Souls, but he's going to get canceled from the Cold Snap. He starts to double back. He's going to be able to miss over on that Tornado. A Diabolic Edict was thrown out from the Leshrac, but it's going to be a hook over from the Clockwork onto that Spirit Breaker, keeping him in his place with that Battery Assault. Split Earth as well. Going to be able to be the last right click from that Shadow Fiend that gets him in the grave. So it's going to be the Enigma as well as the Spirit Breaker in trade for no one on the Radiant team. Good pickup for them. Going to continue to put the gold in their favor at this point. Did dip down almost to 3,500, swinging up back towards that 4,000 mark at the moment. And it looks like that's going to be their cue to move over into the Roshan pit right now. 16 minutes into the game. No life still over on that Shadow Fiend, so it's going to be up to the rest of his team in order to tank it. Finish Mechanism over on that Undying, certainly going to help, but they're going to scout this out with the Mirana Sacred Arrow. Throw a little vision onto that high ground. Maybe get that freshly picked up Blink Dagger from that Enigma. He's wrapping in on the backside. Storm Spirit is going to try to find out this Invoker, though. Gets the Electric Vortex over on him. Midnight Pulse dropped from the Enigma. He's going to drop the Black Hole over on that Storm Spirit. He's going to fall. Mirana Arrow going to be the last one to get the hit on that. But it is going to be the Shadow Fiend over in the Roshan pit who's going to get that Aegis. So they do end up using the Black Hole in order to secure that kill over on the Storm Spirit. They are getting the Troll Warlord up on that top tier 1 tower for the Radiant, but it is going to be the Aegis picked up for the Shadow Fiend. A bit of an equal exchange, maybe favoring the Radiant a little bit in that one. So it's going to be really hard for the Dire team in order to engage without the Black Hole. They are going to have to rely on either finding the Shadow Fiend out of position or using that Moonlight Shadow from Mirana in order to get initiation off they want. But if you look around in this mid lane, they've got 1, 2, 3 Sentry Wards all around this middle lane trying to scout out whenever Mirana pops that Moonlight Shadow. They're going to throw the Rocket Flare over on that Enigma. Gets the hook off over from the Clockwork. Gets him trapped in those cogs. Battery Assault to follow as well. They throw out the Undying Tombstone. He throws out the Soul Rip on the Clockwork, but he's going to fall still anyways. EMP from the Invoker. Moonlight Shadow cast from the over in the Mirana, but it's going to be the charge from Spirit Breaker. Gets canceled from the Yule Scepter of Shadow Fiend. He tries to wind up that Requiem, but the Cold Snap from Invoker's there. He's going to lose his first Aegis. Time to go to see if he gets the second Requiem off over here. Throws it out. Not going to do a lot of damage, though. Does end up dropping the Spirit Breakers. The Storm Spirit, who decided to enter this fight, decides to go over onto that Invoker as well. Has enough mana to get those overload charges onto him. Slowing down the Troll Warlord. Shadow Fiend is chasing him. Sets up for those raises. Gets the first one as well as the second one. The last Lightning Storm over from that Leshrac. Going to be what drops him in the end. A 4-man trade for absolutely nothing in favor of the Radiant right now. around 2,600 gold victory for them, as well as a 4,300 EXP swing. Checking over on that chart, yeah, a very steep incline up in that net worth chart in favor of the Radiant. They are going to get this tier 2 tower as well when everything's said and done. The Edict just doing too much damage to it to keep it alive with that glyph. So moving forward, it's going to be really hard to shut down this Shadow Fiend. He finally lived through an entire fight, picked up another 20, almost 2,000 gold. He has that finished Yasha, most likely going to be going into the Manta style next. Whether or not he wants to stop for a Blink Dagger before he picks up that ultimate orb, we'll see in time. But not having that black hole definitely hurting the Dire team during these engagements. If they had that, they could have had a way of initiating that second time when the Aegis came up from that Shadow Fiend. He's going to get a Requiem over onto that the Spirit Breaker while we say that. Clockwork Hook over onto that Invoker behind the tier 2 tower, but he's going to eat an arrow from the Marauder, dropping really low. He's going to split the gold between all the rest of the Dire heroes, but they found this Undying. Troll Warlord throws the Whirling Axes on him, both the melee and the ranged form. Throws down the Tombstone. Invoker dropping really low too. Double raises from the Shadow Fiend. He's going to take down 2. Meanwhile, the Undying's dropping really low. Invoker's still inside his Ghost Walk. He's going to come out, gets the raise over on the Enigma. Is that Shadow Fiend? Storm Spirit comes in to help as well. It's going to be 4 down and trade for 2 in favor of the Radiant team again. Just continuing to snowball as this Radiant team. Another 1,500 gold exchange in favor of them. Undying a little upset that Invoker stayed inside that Ghost Walk for so long. He's going to have both of his Oblivion staffs finished as well. So he's going to have, I'm not sure if on the Courier he has the Master P, no. So he almost has that Orchid for himself. Storm Spirit did finish his before that last fight. Another 2,200 gold in the bank on top of that. Shadow Fiend decided to finish that Manta style. That just got flown out to him as well. Leshrac also has a Yule Scepter picked up. 1,300 extra gold available for him. And it looks like that Clockwork, he is going to be going for that Agnum Scepter. Has the finished point booster already. Nothing else inside of his stash, so he's going to need about another 2,500 gold before he's finished with that. Spirit Breaker finished a Blade Mail after that fight, so that's definitely going to be helpful for whenever the Shadow Fiend gets that Yule Scepter off after he charges in. Mirana and just has the Ring of Aquila as well as the Boots of Speed. Has a Gloves of Haste. Whether or not that's going to be a Midas or if she just decides to go for Maelstrom next. Most likely going to be that Maelstrom, though. She's going to need to start being able to do some damage in these fights. The Sacred Arrow as well as the Starfall just not going to be able to do enough damage in order to take out anyone. But meanwhile, the Invoker throwing out that Tornado and EMP on that bottom lane. Going to connect with that Clockwork. He's sapped of all his mana, so what could have been a good initiation from that Invisible Storm over on the Invoker is going to be voided at the moment, but they are going to catch out the Spirit Breaker. Yule Scepter from the Leshrac. He's up in the air. The Split Earth going to miss. Gets the Electric Vortex over on him, keeping him in place as well as the Silent, but the Storm Spirit is dropping really low on mana. Oh, actually, Deafening Blast down to the low ground. They are going to drop the Midnight Pulse in order to get vision on him. The Spirit Breaker going to get the kill over on that Storm Spirit as well as the Invoker over on that Leshrac. Nice pickups for them. They desperately needed in order to get some extra swing around goal. Actually around 2,600 in favor of the Dire team after that. So much needed for them after losing a couple fights against the Radiant over the last 10 minutes. Actually, is going to be a Ogre Club pickup from the Enigma as well as the Mithril Hammer, so he almost has that finished BKB. Nothing over on except for the Clockwork Hook on the Radiant team is going to be able to stop his Black Hole. There is going to be a charge out over onto this Clockwork from the Spirit Breaker. Not sure if he really wants to commit that much to this, though. He is going over the high ground, decides to go on it. Nether Strike to come, tries to get a bash first, does indeed get a bash. Might not even need a... Oh, he doesn't even have the Nether Strike available. There is a Shadow Fiend here, though. He did use his Yules, gets bashed up, gets the Requiem canceled, and they're actually just going to throw out the Mirana ulti in order to walk away from this one. So nice pickup over on that Clockwork. The Spirit Breaker recognizing that he can continue to just charge in on top of this, even though he's under that tier 1 tower and easily could get rotation help from his teammates. Still 1,200 gold for the Leshrac. Let's see if he wants to try to either go for a Bloodstone next or if he wants to go for something like a Scythe of Vice, maybe even a Pipe pickup for him. Troll Warlord finished his Yasha as well as his Helm of the Dominator, has a finished Ogre Club as well. Could potentially be either going into a BKB, Sanjin Yasha, or if they really wanted to get tricky with it, they could decide to go for a Heaven's Halberd. Just try to get rid of the only two people putting out a lot of right-click damage is that Shadow Fiend as well as the Storm Spirit, so it could definitely be a useful item during this one in order to cancel out the few right-click physical damage that they have over on that Radiant team. But they're going to start a charge down into this bottom lane, cancelled by the Spirit Breaker. There is a couple heroes from the Radiant team over here to try to get initiation on. Mirana throws out the Sacred Arrow, not going to connect on anyone. Dancing around this tier 2 tower is the Radiant team. Off in the jungle is the Undying, ready to just drop down that Tombstone. He actually has a point booster himself, so that's either going to be a Bloodstone or he's going into that Agnum Scepter, does a lot of damage. Meanwhile, there's a Yule Scepter as well as a split over onto that Enigma. He's going to fall. No buyback available for him. They're going to get the cogs down as well as dropping the Storm Spirit. 3 heroes down for the Dire team. Shadow Fiend just doing so much damage up from behind this tier 2 tower. Just able to go to work over onto the Spirit Breaker, and he's going to fall as well. Killing spree over on the Shadow Fiend. 4 down for the Dire. They're going to lose their tier 2 tower as well. Just a huge pickup over on that Radiant, continuing to snowball after losing that little bit of an engagement from the Dire team a couple minutes ago, but they're going to have that Diabolic Edict available over in the Leshrac. They're moving on to this tier 3 tower. Buyback is available over in the Spirit Breaker Enigma as well as the Mirana now, but it looks like they might just let these barracks fall. They're not getting any reactions, and the Troll Warlord is up in that top lane, took out that tower, but they're going to lose their racks in exchange for it. It's actually going to be a Blink Dagger pickup from the Leshrac, so interesting choice from him. Going to be able to blink in, get the Yules off, then follow it up with the Diabolic Edict and Split Earth combination afterwards. And if they don't get their BKB off, he's going to have the Pulse Nova to follow in order to get a lot of damage out. And they're just moving on to the tier 3 in this mid lane. All the heroes for the Dire are up now, though, so let's see if they can get the engagement they want. Mirana's probably going to throw out that Sacred Arrow in a second. They do get the Tornado over onto that Shadow Fiend. Get the Deafening Blast as well, but there's a Tombstone on the ground. They do throw out that Mirana ulti, charge in from the Spirit Breaker. He goes over onto the Leshrac. He's going to fall. And then there's going to be a Black Hole catching the Shadow Fiend as well as the Undying Requiem to fall. And it's going to be the Undying walking away from this one. Not going to be able to get away, though. Malefice from the Enigma, Meatball from the Invoker, and it's going to be the Starstorm from the Mirana who gets the last hit on them. So sticking around just a little bit too long. They do get the tier 3 tower, but it's going to be 3 men falling down for this Radiant team. Much needed for the Dire after losing their barracks as well as the mid-tier 3 tower. Let's see if they can surmount a push after this. Only one tier 1 tower has been eliminated from that Radiant team up in the top lane. Everything else is going to stand for them. Only one that's actually even kind of low is that mid-tier 1 tower. Roshan has respawned, so that could definitely be their in that they're looking for in order to try to swing a team fight during this next engagement. Rocket Flare from the Clockwork is going to scout this out. He started the pings. Not sure if Trollwood wants to stick around here for too long. Has the Battle Trance available, though. And he actually did decide to go for that Black King bar as opposed to the Saint Yasha or the Heaven's Halberd. But it's going to be the Clockwork who falls into the trap of this EMP. Going over onto him is the Invoker, Spirit Breaker to charge as well. But there's a big ball lightning over from that Storm Spirit. The Clockwork is going to fall, but the not going to be enough damage over on that Invoker. Troll Warlord did end up taking that Aegis over in the Roche pit. Leshrac tried to get him out, but he's not going to be. He's going to get caught up on the high ground. Invoker is going to TP out. He does have that finished Orchid on him, as well as an extra 1,400 gold. So would like to see him maybe go Blink Dagger. Could potentially go for a Sheep Stick next. But he's going to need something to lock down this Storm Spirit from just ball lightning in on him on the backside, forcing him to use one of his Invoke cooldowns on that Ghost Walk, just so that he can survive during the first part of these engagements. So Leshrac doubling back after that Blink Dagger for the point booster. Finished Bloodstone over on the Storm Spirit as well. He's getting pretty large and in charge at the moment. Did pick up a Dust so that he can deal with that Invoker if he does end up using that Ghost Walk whenever he engages onto him. Enigma finishing his BKB, so this next Black Hole definitely will be a one to be feared. Clockwork going to have to hold off into that hook shot in order to secure the stun over onto him, or it's going to be a full duration one for this next fight. Aegis over onto that Troll Warlord. He has that finished Yasha, as well as the BKB. Let's see if what he wants to go into next, whether or not he's going to turn that into a Manta style or a Sanjin Yasha. Might be a little bit late for a Sanjin Yasha, though. 28 minutes into the game, more considered a mid-game oriented item. Not going to bring a lot to his DPS in the long run. So would like to see him picking up that Manta style. Will certainly help with the Orchid of the Storm Spirit, getting rid of that. But a lot of vision for the Dire team, as well as the Radiant coming out up into the Dire jungle. It's going to be next to impossible for them to farm without de-warding all of these wards. Otherwise, they're just going to get initiated on by that Storm Spirit, as well as the hookshot from the Clockwork. The Shadow Fiend is going to eat an arrow in mid. Let's see if they want to try to go on this charge in from the Spirit Breaker. The Leshrac has decided to do Blink Dagger in, Tombstone down, BKB popped by both the Shadow Fiend as well as the Spirit Breaker. Deafening Blast not going to connect from the Invoker. Dropping low is that Spirit Breaker, but a black hole over onto that Shadow Fiend. Gets cancelled by the Clockwork. Hookshot though. They are underneath the Mirana ulti. Clockwork does fall as well as the Storm Spirit over on the backside. The Troll Warlord is in melee form. Hasn't even popped his Aegis yet, but he does get Yule Sceptered up. Looks like they are going to be able to pop that first Aegis. Going to need his teammates to reinitiate over onto this, otherwise he's going to fall twice. Blinking as well as the Malithus over onto that Enigma. Getting the Pulse Nova off is that Leshrac. He's dropping low. Gets the Yule Scepter off on himself. The Shadow Fiend is going to end up dying, though, doing a lot of damage as that Pulse Nova over from the Enigma, but he's going to fall. Looks like Undying's going to be next. A 5-man wipe in favor of the Dire team right now, only losing that Invoker. Wow, very nice and well played over on them. Even having the black hole canceled by the hookshot of that Enigma. So what looked like it could have been really bad for that Shadow Fiend. He was the only one caught inside of that. Meanwhile, it is going to be the Storm Spirit Ball Lightning in over on that Mirana. He's dropping pretty low, gets stunned up over from that Troll Warlord. He's almost falling from that Troll Warlord's Battle Trance. But he's going to be able to just walk away. There is a hookshot over onto the Troll Warlord from the Clockwork. He's starting to go to work on him too, though, doing a lot of right-click damage is that Troll Warlord, but he's going to walk into the backside of those cogs, and he's going to fall for that. They are continuing to go reinitiate over onto this Clockwork. They do have the charge as well as the Malefice. He's going to fall too. This is just back and forth, ladies and gentlemen. 4 for 2. Actually, just 4 for 1. The Invoker's dead from that last fight. So what initially looked like a really great fight from the Radiant team, getting that the hook shot over onto that Enigma, canceling that black hole, getting a lot of damage off from the Pulse Nova of that Leshrac, ends up trading at just a few too many, sticks around for a long time over in that mid, gets the Ball Lightning in over from that Storm Spirit, and just trying to, get an extra kill on that Troll Warlord, but he's capable with that Helm of the Dominator, just going into that melee form, popping the Battle Trance, keeping his HP up as he just stuns and bashes and goes to town over on these Radiant heroes. So we are getting a pause out from this disconnected Storm Spirit. So let's just fast forward a few seconds ahead of this until he reconnects. Looks like they are going to unpause. He has not reconnected yet, whether this sticks or not. Enigma says that he's done waiting. 30 seconds is too long. 4,000 in the bank for him. Did use his buyback during that last fight, though. So that could be considered a small victory for the Radiant team. They did force a buyback from the Enigma. And looks like he is going to be the only one who... it actually says that he has buyback available. I don't know why he has that little buyback symbol next to him, if that is certainly available. Looks like Storm Spirit has reconnected now, so we are going to get an unpause and back into this action. The Dire team still, having lost that bottom racks, though, going to be really hard for them to push out from their base after this, especially after they have to be careful with that Enigma. He did buy back, so that's not going to be available for them in this next team fight. We are going to get a charge up in this top lane over on the Leshrac. He does have his Blink Dagger as well as that Yule Scepter available, though. So it looks like the Spirit Breaker is going to cancel that. Shadow Fiend starting to make moves up towards this top, into the Dire jungle. They do have wards scouting out this Invoker. Ball Lightning over onto him as well as the Silence. Leshrac's there to follow up too. There is going to be a Sacred Arrow connecting over onto that Storm Spirit, but no follow-up from the Dire team. Storm Spirit is going to be able to stop that killing spree over from that Invoker. Gold going into his pocket, and they're just moving in over onto these... the barracks in this middle lane for the Dire. Buyback from the Invoker. They do drop the Tombstone. It's already taken care of. The EMP actually not going to be... It's actually going to take too long to proc from the lift time of that Tornado. They are going to get a stun over onto the Shadow Fiend. He uses himself up into the air. He pops the BKB. Not enough time in order to get off that Requiem, though. He drops too fast to that Troll Warlord. They are going to get a charge over onto the Leshrac on the backside. The Nether Strike going to come out onto him. He's dropping low. He's going to fall. Only a couple left over onto this this Radiant team. They're going to go to work over onto that Undying. He's going to fall to the Mirana. That's going to be a 3-for-0 trade. They did force the buyback over onto that Invoker. And it actually looks like they're going to find that Clockwork out. The Enigma coming up, getting a little aggressive in that mid lane. Pops the BKB, but the right clicks are going to be there from Storm. That's going to be a dieback from the Enigma. So 90 seconds on the sideline for him. No buyback available anymore. So all in all, they end up trading the buyback from Enigma and a re-death from him, as well as the buyback over onto that Invoker in order to kill the Shadow Fiend Leshrac, as well as the Undying. So nice pickups from them, much needed. Shadow Fiend getting a little aggressive over, as well as the Leshrac and Storm Spirit getting spotted out while that Invoker is farming up in his jungle from this Radiant Ward. But the Dire also having vision there. We're capable of seeing that Shadow Fiend coming and swinging up towards their jungle, so not going to be in vain for that Invoker dying. They are going to get the Clockwork Hook over in this mid lane. He's going to miss, though, and he decides that the Spirit Breaker actually just wants to engage over onto him. That negative Urn Charge most likely going to be enough to take him out, but there's a Split Earth as well as the Ball Lightning from that Storm Spirit. More than enough to take down that Space Cow. They are going to get a Sacred Arrow over onto the Storm Spirit. Invoker's here with Ghost Walk, but he's going to be spotted out by slowing down those creeps in the mid lane. So he actually went and picked up an Ogre Club, so he most likely either going for that Agnum Scepter next, or could be working into a BKB, drops the Ice Wall. It is going to help the Mirana connect over on that Sacred Arrow, gets the silence over onto that Shadow Fiend. The blink in from the Troll Warlord might be able to take him down. BKB is not going to matter. The Tombstone is down from that Undying, but the Troll Warlord is within that BKB. They are going to throw the Mirana ulti out, so the Invoker does end up falling on the backside of that Storm Spirit. So it's going to be a dieback for him. The buyback from the Spirit Breaker as well. They're going to continue to pursue against this Undying, as well as the Enigma, or excuse me, the Leshrac. Split Earth over onto the Troll Warlord. Going to stop the engagement over onto that Undying. Clockwork Hook on as well as over onto the Spirit Breaker, but Nether Strike's there as well. They do pop the Battle Trance. Black Hole's still available if they want to throw it onto that Leshrac, but it doesn't look like they're going to need it. Going to be more than enough damage. He does get that Split Earth off, as well as the Pulse Nova doing a lot of damage. Diabolic Edict still ticking over onto these heroes, but that's going to be a 5-for-1 trade in favor of the Dire. Double kill over onto that Troll Warlord. About 2,300 gold in favor of the Dire team. Checking this graph, actually going to equal out around 0 gold for the net worth. So we've got our ball game back at 0. First inning, let's go, boys. Only the Storm Spirit is the one surviving for the Radiant team. His Bloodstone down to 6 charges, so not the world's happiest Bloodstone anymore. Troll Warlord did decide to pick up the Saint Jinyasha as well as that Blink Dagger, an extra 2,100 gold for him. Whether or not he wants to work over into an Eye of Scotty next, or if he's just going to go straight Satanic or Chrysalis, we'll see. So that Spirit Breaker just getting some nice back-end charges into these fights, being able to catch out that Clockwork who did hook in over to try to get a kill on the Enigma. And it's actually going to be a Scythe of Vice pickup over on that Mirana. Interesting choice for her. Thought that she did end up getting the Hand of Midas after the Boots and Aquila. So that was all in workup for that Scythe of Vice. That's definitely going to help when trying to pick off this Shadow Fiend if they can catch him out before he BKBs, as well as the Storm Spirit, who does not have a BKB yet. Actually has one coming out to him over on that Courier. So they're going to have to be quick with those fingers in order to get those Scythe of Vice off over on the Radiant team before they get their engagements up. But most likely Storm Spirit going to be capable of coming in from those back lines with the BKB already activated on him. So it's going to be that Shadow Fiend that they need in order to get these initiations that they just so much desire. Demon Edge long since finished over onto that Shadow Fiend. He's most likely going to be working either into a Daedalus or an MKB for himself. Try to help with the evasion that the mischance that the Troll Warlord brings out with those Whirling Axes. Checking around the map, there's still the Dire team still has only taken out one tier 1 tower. Both the mid and the bottom tier 1 standing exactly where they were when we last checked them about 10 to 12 minutes ago. This Roshan not respawning yet. Leshrac has been spotted out by the Dire team. They're actually going to get the Spirit Breaker charge over onto him. The Blanket from the Troll Warlord going to be more than enough damage. Just defensive cogs on the high ground from the Clockwork. Just looking to disengage from this one. Ghost Walk inside the Roche Pit from the Invoker, so he might try to scout out some more heroes on the Radiant team with this. Has enough for that Mithril Hammer if he wants to finish by that. Have a little bit more reliable gold. Not lose as much on death if he wants to. Buyback status for both teams. Looks like it's only going to be available for the Troll Warlord as well as the Shadow Fiend. So this next engagement could definitely, if the Dire do end up taking it, it could end up in their second tier 2 towers. They're actually going to blink Black Hole solo style over onto this Storm Spirit. He's dropping low, gets the BKB off before the EMP. Might not be enough damage in order to get the reinitiation that they want. Haste Spirit rune going to be activated from him. So a little bit of a waste from that Enigma from the Black Hole. Looks like Storm Spirit might even re-engage off of this. So the Radiant team going to be able to get whatever initiation they want after this, not having to worry about that Black Hole. It is going to be the Spirit Breaker comes over onto this Clockwork, throws out that hook shot. They do throw out the Mirana ulti, but there's going to be a dust from that Clockwork. The Troll Warlord going to be able to kill him on the backside, but it's going to be the Tombstone from the Undying doing a lot of damage over to these Dire heroes. EMP to come as well, sucks up all the mana from that Undying. No more decay charges for you, sir. Only the Leshrac is going to be standing left for the Radiant team. Double kill over on that Troll Warlord. So while that Clockwork getting what looked like he was just going to be able to throw defensive cogs out on the bottom and walk away from this. The Dire team, after throwing the Black Hole up on that top lane, just doubling back towards the Roshan pit, getting a few kills over on that Radiant team, and it looks like they're going to get a Roshan as well. Going to be a free Aegis for that Troll Warlord. And it's actually going to be an Agnum Scepter pickup for the Enigma. Interesting choice from him. Going to be able to doing a lot of extra damage. I believe it throws down, it throws the current level of Midnight Pulse underneath whatever, wherever he black holes. So it's going to be doing a ton of percentage damage whenever he throws that down. Doesn't need to waste the animation from the Midnight Pulse in order to get out a quick black hole. They're going to find the engagement over onto the Shadow Fiend. Does get Yulesed up from the Leshrac. Gets the Split Earth as well, but there's a charge over from the Spirit Breaker. They are going to throw out the second Yule Scepter. Clockwork does hook in. It's not going to connect, and the bashes from the Troll Warlord are going to be capable of taking him down. Ball Lightning in over from that Storm Spirit. It's going to be a double kill from over on the Leshrac from that Troll Warlord. They are going to throw down the Ice Wall, though. Looks like they are going to be able to disengage with getting 2 kills. No buyback available on these Radiant heroes. Looks like they might finally be able to get this tier 1 minute. No, Shadow Fiend denies it. Oh, they've wanted that for so long, but it's going to be still around 1,500, 1,600 gold in favor of the Dire. And this Undying just pushing up a little bit too far. He's going to get caught out from that Troll Warlord as well as the Spirit Breaker. A nice kill from them. All 3 heroes for the Radiant team don't have buyback. This is going to be a tier 3 as well as, or the tier 2 as well as maybe a tier 3 for the Dire team. This could be the push they were finally looking for. Charge over on that Storm Spirit. He's going to disjoint that with the Ball Lightning, though. So it is going to be that tier 2 to fall. Let's see if they continue to push up into the high ground, get this tier 3. They could just look to try to regain that map control that they've so longly yearned for. Mirana going to work down on this bottom tier 1 tower. She still has that Scythe of Ice as well as 2,700 extra gold. See what she wants to go next. They are pushing into the tier 3 right now. Battle Trance popped by that Troll Warlord. He still has that Aegis. Ball Lightning in from the Storm Spirit. He's really low on mana now, though. Down to around half. He's going to have to go back to the well. Zoning EMP from the Invoker. They are going to get this melee barracks. Let's see if Shadow Fiend's still sitting over on that Demon Edge as well as 2,500 gold. Starts winding up that Requiem, but he's going to get Yules himself, I think. So the range barracks does continue to stand, but the Radiant team losing a little bit of that map control that they've had for this entire game. Yeah, these aggressive wards are not going to help them if they're defending up against their base being pushed. Spirit Breaker charging down to this bottom lane. They're going to look to get this tier 1 tower. No glyph available for this, so not really sure the Radiant team is going to be capable of defending. Might decide to save their defense against that tier 2 push in the bottom lane. Aegis still available over on that Troll Warlord. He's almost level 25 actually, so he's going to start capping out soon. Not quite 6-slotted, still could get the Satanic as well as fill a spot in his inventory for that Aegis after the fact. Shadow Fiend is going to get a DD, start pushing up in this top lane. Might look to backdoor rat a little bit against this Dire team who is grouped up as 5. Try to split them up. As soon as they do that, we can expect a ball lightning in from that Storm Spirit to pick up any of the stragglers who stick behind. Aegis reclaimed in 2 minutes. Battle Trance pop from the Troll Warlord started to take a lot of HP down from this tier 2 tower, even despite the backdoor protection. He's going to be able to take that down by himself. Going to get used up from the Leshrac, throws out the Split Earth as well. That's going to connect on just the Troll Warlord. Spirit Breaker is charging in, decides to cancel that. Defensive cogs pop by the Clockwork. So you can see it is going to be the Invoker who just decides to TP top. Looks like the Dire are just going to completely disengage from this, recognizing that the Shadow Fiend has started to push up against this tier 3 in their top lane, not wanting to lose any more than they already have. That the Rax in the bottom lane as well as the tier 3 in the middle still missing for that Dire team. So they have to be careful about where they push. Want to try to definitely equal out that creep equilibrium in that bottom lane so that they can stop worrying about having to defend against that high ground push so frequently if they decide to neglect that bottom lane for a little while. So Troll Warlord actually opening a bank himself, 9,600 gold in his inventory. The world is his oyster at the moment. He could go for whatever item he wanted, whether that be Divine Rapier or just completely finish that Satanic. Maybe pick up a Daedalus while he's at it. I have Scotty also an option. But spend your gold on something, please, Troll Warlord. I guess he actually doesn't even have the inventory space that he could potentially want to use. He does have the double ultimate orb picked up on the courier, so it is going to be an Eye of Scotty that he's going to go for next. Storm Spirit down to 4 charges over on that Bloodstone, so that's a little bit of a sad Bloodstone right now. No real progression towards his next item. And apparently the Enigma has left them. Not sure if that means that he's AFK, or if he's actually done for the rest of the game. No, he's moving, so he's back. They are going to have him available for this next fight. Don't worry, Dire team. Your Agnum Scepter, it does have the Refresher recipe finish. Actually, as soon as he sends the courier to that side shop, he is going to almost have enough gold for it. They are going to spot out this Leshrac, though, with that Observer Ward. So they are going to get the Spirit Breaker charge over on him. Easy kill for the Troll Warlord. Ends up picking up that Godlike Spreak over on him. The Aegis did end up expiring during all of that. So he's going to have that extra inventory spot to get that Scotty in there now. Cheese over on that Spirit Breaker, which I did not mention before, also picked up that Vladimir's Offering. Definitely going to help with the once the Spirit Breaker charges in, the blink and reinitiation over from that Troll Warlord. He's going to have not only his Helm of the Dominator lifesteal, but that 15% damage aura from the Vladimir's Offering of the Spirit Breaker on top of the extra lifesteal aura that provides. So the Storm Spirit does have 2,800 gold. I'm not sure if he's going to want to be saving for buyback, or if that's going to be a finished Mystic Staff for him if he wants to start going for that Scythe of Vice. The Leshrac, while he had a really quick start, had a very fast Blink Dagger Yules as well as the Point Booster, has been halted completely in his tracks. Hasn't picked up anything since that Point Booster, but I'll stop speaking now because we have a charge in from the Spirit Breaker, going to doing a ton of damage over on that Shadow Fiend. They pop the Black Hole as well. He's going to fall. Storm Spirit's going to fall. Clockwork is going to fall. They are going to be able to push down this mid lane, get that final ranged barracks. Whether or not that ends up being tier 4s as well, we'll see. There is a buyback available on that Storm Spirit as well as the Shadow Fiend. So that's going to be an easy ranged barracks. They should be able to move down into the tier 3 in this bottom lane. They should have the buyback coming out from that Storm Spirit as well as the Shadow Fiend any second now before they lose any more heroes. If they lose the Undying as well as or the Leshrac, it's going to be really hard for them to pick an engagement now. They still have no Clockwork. He's going to be on the sidelines for a while. It looks like they're just going to give him a free barracks down here. I'm not even sure what exactly they're thinking. It's not going to be something that they can easily recover from. They do have creeps pushing into the base, but it looks like they are going to move up to these tier 3s in the top lane. This might be mega creeps in favor of the Dire. They're not buying back on this Shadow Fiend or Storm Spirit. Not really sure what the miscommunication is over on that Radiant team. They throw out the glyph, but there's still going to be 15 seconds until there's any heroes available. If they don't buy back, they get the melee barracks, range barracks to fall next. They're just going to continue to hold this. Why aren't they buying back? Clockwork is going to throw that hook shot out, but there's no follow-up damage. There is the Undying inside of that Flesh Golem, the Agnum style Flesh Golem, but BKB finished over on that Invoker. They're going to go to work over under that Undying. He's falling pretty low. He's going to die. 72 seconds with no buyback available. Mega creeps for the Dire. No creeps pushing into their base right now either. That looks like they might be able to just go for these tier 4s. Storm Spirit as well as the Shadow Fiend have respawned. They do pick up a Boots of Travel as well as a Sanjin Yasha over on that Spirit Breaker. I'm not sure if that's even going to be necessary. If he does die, he can buy back and just TP right back into the game though. They're going to get these tier 4s. Looks like they're just going to give this game to the Dire team right now. Ball Lightning in from that Storm Spirit. He's just going to zip around, though. Not really looking to kill anyone. Might actually get killed himself. They are going to get the Leshrac back by that where the melee barracks once stood, but they're just going to move on to this Ancient and start farming the well of the Radiant team. They had Shadow Fiend falls as well. So a little bit of a lackluster of an ending for the Radiant team. Not really sure. They had buyback available over onto that Storm Spirit as well as the Shadow Fiend, not choosing to use it. So it's actually going to be what was an incredibly back and forth game, primarily in favor of the Radiant that entire time. They got that bottom racks as well as the tier 3 in the middle lane, but that's when the Dire started making their comeback. They stuck around for a little bit too long in that mid lane, that 3-for-0 trade, and then ended up in a team wipe later on. Definitely helping out that Dire team. The Black Holes from Enigma, not the world's largest ones, but they did help in order to lock down the Storm Spirit as well as the Shadow Fiend during a couple of those fights. Clockwork only getting a chance to cancel that once with this hook shot. The Undying had a really great early game for the Radiant team. He did have that early mana boots as well as the Urn of Shadows before 12 minutes into the game, but not going to be enough to propel the Radiant team into the late game. That Storm Spirit certainly falling off after he only had that finished Orchid of Malevolence over on him. Shadow Fiend not making any item progression after the pickup of that Demon Edge. So all in all, really nice comeback over from the Dire. The Troll Warlord, after he picked up that Blink Dagger, being able to help the charging in of the Spirit Breaker, as well as the Tornadoes and EMPs from that Invoker, helping sap the mana of that Clockwork and Undying during a couple of those fights. Definitely helped in that bottom lane whenever they were looking to engage onto him behind that tier 2 tower. Clockwork was just left without any mana, so not going to be able to get the fights that the Radiant team were looking for after everything was said and done. So nice comebacks from both teams, a really big roller coaster ride back and forth. Thanks to kontulangangsta over on the Dota2 Castit subreddit for providing us with this replay. If you guys want to check me out over on Twitter, my username on that is YaManDota. As well as tomorrow, Tuesday, as well as Thursday, I'll be doing a Dota FM audio-only broadcast of the MLG League of EG versus, I believe it's Complexity Gaming, yeah. So tune in for that if you'd like that. If you're not going to be around, maybe you're in the car, on the go, can't afford the bandwidth over from those Twitch streams on your phone, check out those audio-only streams for Dota FM at mixlr/DotaFM. Alright everyone, thanks for tuning in. If you stuck around for this whole time, it's really appreciated. Any insight or advice, comments, critiques that you have for me, just feel free to drop them over onto that Dota2 Castit subreddit or comments on this video on YouTube. So everyone, have a good night.